Okay, attention, top, Kyungyi, good, Chumbi. All right, so mechanics of Taekwondo. Let me put my disclaimer out there right off the bat. We have some impressive guests in here. So one thing I want to say is we are all students, no matter whether we have Grandmaster McNeely up there, you know, to come on here, you know, it shows that he believes every day is a learning school day, as do I and as do many of us. So it is every day is a school day. But what I'd like to say, my background of Taekwondo is, whilst it was ITF originally and is now Taekwondo International, TAGB, I'm very respectful of the ITF format as to how structured it is and disciplined it is to maintain very, very uniform technique. Sorry, I'm just admitting people as they come on. And when you go to an ITF tournament, you cannot help but be impressed by seeing 40, 50, 60 students performing a pattern, and it's almost impossible to tell what school they come from, what instructor they come from, what area they come from, because they're so very uniformed. And that's an impressive thing from an ITF point of view. But as I've traveled around and spent time traveling with various different people over the world, really, I've come to realize that whilst in a competition environment it's great to have good uniform, as a stature, the last time I had the privilege of standing next to General Choi, I was a very different shape and size to what the General was. And for many years that got me thinking, okay, that's okay. When I'm dealing with my own mirror image, it represents a technique that I want to show to the students. And I want to show to my instructors. But the reality is, you know, if I find myself needing it, I can't guarantee the person that's going to be aggressive towards me is going to be my mirror image. So we're going to go through a little bit of how you can look at your techniques and adjust them to give flexibility to what you do and how you do it. Okay, so Chumbi. So we're going to keep moving, we're going to keep active. Something I've been doing this week with the students is talking about keeping in a confined space. So we're going to step forwards doing line work in a forward motion. And in doing so, we're going to step back to step forwards. Step back to step forwards. So Chumbi. So nice and simple, just to get the hang of this. Step in forwards, walk in stance, punch. Here. Hana. Everyone go. And tul. And set. Net. Tassel. Yassel. Ilgu. So you can see, you can maintain good, repetitive rehearsal of your techniques on the spot. Hana. Tul. Okay, so we're going to switch it now. We're going to step back, doing a rising block. Okay, stepping backwards, doing a rising block. So in the way that we step backwards in our confined space is to step forwards before we step backwards. Step forwards to step backwards. So what we're looking at is a forward stepping motion happens when my technique and my front foot lands. A backward stepping motion happens when my technique and my back foot lands. So that's how we're going to define stepping forwards and stepping backwards. So backwards now, rising block. Hana. So we're looking on a defense. Whilst defending can be done forwards and backwards, for the most part, stepping backwards in a defense is probably the most instinctive thing to do. So we'll try and be stepping backwards when we do this. So to go forwards to chamber, to step back to block. Hana. Okay, something I picked on in the week with one of these techniques, and I think it's a good opportunity to use it here. There's a lot of diverse styles of Taekwondo here. So this rising block, very quickly, try and imagine this rising block is done in a single plane, directly upwards, okay? So from the center of your chest, center of forearm going directly upwards. Try not to keep forwards and swing it across, okay? A lot of people you'll see, they'll do it from the side and bring it across without any torso movement. Just, this is the action you need, okay? Just up and down. Added to that, bear in mind, is the rotation of your hips. So now when I add rotation to my hips, it now appears that I'm swinging across my body, but actually all I'm doing is this action here. This action is much stronger than this action. If I use this movement, I'm using my shoulders. If I use this movement here, I'm using my chest, my back, and my triceps, okay? So this movement here is a lot stronger than using my shoulders to lift with. To get the rotation, I just twist my hips. So just try and do that. Keep the hand working in an upward plane, but twist the hips to get the power in it. Forward, Hana. So what you're looking to be careful of is the arm swinging across and up of the body. You don't want it to come across. Okay, I know it tends to look that way when you perform it, but if you're performing it well with hip twist, you don't need to bring the arm across. This is a linear technique, very much like a punch. Okay, comes from the center of your body directly outwards. The appearance that it has by coming across is the fact that you use rotation to generate the technique. Carry on a few more. Hana. Okay, we'll pick on something else while we're doing this, and we'll change the technique to give you some variety. Let's do a high outer forearm block. And we'll do this forwards. So we're going to step backwards to chamber, to forwards. Backwards to chamber, forwards. Backwards, forwards. Hana. Good. I just want a couple of things to bring to your attention with hand and foot timing. You've got to be a little bit careful when we're doing this, and we'll step this forwards or backwards. You don't want to be landing with your front leg or your back leg prior to blocking. If you land and then you block, you miss the perfect opportunity of making good use of your weight into the technique. I'll give you a little example. If I stood now on scales and I lifted and I dropped, okay, I'm sure I would get a lot more weight at the point of my drop than I currently weigh, because I only weigh 10 stone. For you guys over the US, I'd like to say it's about 180, but really it's probably near 230. But by that drop, okay, by applying that drop, I'm able to go from 230, maybe 250, 60, possibly even 270. So if I've got a guy stood in front of me that I need to drop with a good punch, I don't want to be hitting him with 230, I want to be hitting him with 270. Or I don't want to be hitting him with 110 kilos, I want to be hitting him with 120 kilos. So the timing to do that is when those scales reach their absolute maximum. And that's the time to hit it. If you land 1, 2, you miss the window. So try and get the foot to land, same time, here, here, and make it snap and land at that same time. Let's have a few goes. Hana. 2. Hand and foot timing is critical. Set. Those of you who know me taking the power pad around. Net. You'll know that we've found that out. We're in one of the early stages. Dasot. Okay, something else I just want to mention. And again, so a reminder of my disclaimer. Please don't, we're all students. Don't go away to your instructor. Oh my God, Master Wales just told me something I've never done before. Don't worry about that, okay? This is not about me telling you what you're doing right or wrong. This is about me giving you a little bit of insight as to how the body works and how we can make best use of that mechanical movement in the Tae Kwon Do techniques we do. So, think about your chamber. We're going to look at your chamber. Let's do a low block. Okay, we'll keep it fairly basic techniques because I've got a few low grades in here. We'll get on to advanced stuff in a little while. But let's just stick to low block. So, what do we do with the chamber? I was taught, look at my watch, cover my watch. At the time, it was a really good, easy way to learn how to get my chambers the right way round. So just think about, we're going to do a few, think about how you're doing it. How do you do it? How were you taught it? I know some people were taught hand over, grab in the ear, up over the high, over the shoulder, and pulling in opposite directions. So there's another method there. So they're all good teaching points that encourage you to execute the technique well. So let's just do a few, and I want you to be mindful of your chamber. So forwards, hana, two, there, good. Come a little bit closer to the camera, because what I just want to go through something so you can see a little bit better. All right, if I'm doing an outer forearm block, I'm blocking on the side of my little finger, okay? So I stand naturally, the outer forearm block here, this is where I'm blocking naturally. Now, the action I'm doing there is I'm extending my elbow, okay? I'm not flexing it, I'm extending my elbow. So, from the side point of view, the hand wants to travel outwards, okay? And I'm going to be using my triceps to do that. Okay, the triceps are the muscles that extend that outwards. If I'm extending my elbow, what I want to try and do then is I want to get as much extension and flexion of that as possible. Okay, if I'm pulling inwards in a forearm block, it's a flexion. If it's an outer forearm, it's an extension. And I want as much of that as possible. So, what got me to the question? I asked the question many years ago. The question was, why do we do an outer forearm block from the inside and an inner forearm block from the outside, just the opposite sides of the wrist? It was to change how the techniques were executed. And I wasn't comfortable with it, and I stewed over that for many, many years. And then I got into biomechanical science, thoroughly enjoyed that from a therapy point of view, and I learned a lot from it. And here's what I want to share with you. If I want to get full extension of the elbow, okay, if I was doing an outer forearm block, and I was going to use my palms to do that, that's how I would execute it, palms away, forcing my outer forearm. I wouldn't do it this way. I wouldn't do palms in and push. Any of you pushed a car, you wouldn't have pushed the car like that, because you just don't have the strength. A way of testing yourself is drop down and do 10 press-ups one way, and then 10 press-ups the other way. On the backs of your hands, I guarantee you, you will do more on the palms than you will on your hands. And it's just because the body works that way. So, what I want you to do, in this case, when you do a low outer forearm block, or a middle outer forearm block, or a high or rising block, any outer forearm technique, I now want you to bring this close to your chest. Okay, bring it close to your chest. Reaction hand, the hand that comes back to your hip, that stays the same. But this hand is going to come close to your chest because we want to extend the elbow and make that technique travel from our close body away from ourselves. So let's just have a few goes at that. Chumbi. So let's do a lower forearm block. Close, chambers in here close. Hana. And we'll do it stepping forwards. Tul. I can just check that you can see. So what you've done is you've given yourself a better ability to extend the arm and extend the elbow, okay? It's traveling away from your body. So it suits to be using that in a direction that is going away. And you're using all the muscles, all the structure of your body to benefit that just the same as you would, as I said, by pushing a car. Now let's talk about inner forearm block. Inner forearm block. Let's do a few. So let's do a middle inner forearm block. We'll do this stepping backwards here. Stepping backwards my time. Hana. Palm. Okay, very good. All right, so let me just briefly talk about that. Now I see quite a few of you performing, as I was taught and I used to do it, performing the inner forearm block by bringing it just the other side of your pullback arm, or your chamber arm. The difference of those two hands is the width of your wrist. Is it enough to warrant doing two techniques? And that was my question. So I kind of thought, well, hang on a minute, an inner forearm block is flexing the elbow. It is causing this action, okay? My elbow is now bending, flexing, okay? Not only is it flexing, but I'm supinating the wrist, okay? I'm turning the palm upwards. Now from a mechanical point of view, I'll give you the example again. In fact, I've got one. Let me just grab one. I will only use a little one because I'm a little person. But I have a dumbbell here, okay? I can do this palm upwards all day long, okay, especially with this weight. If I did it the other way, palm downwards, okay, straight away I'm going to feel fatigue. The body is not designed to function at its best at that position. So, when you're going to do an inner forearm block, you supinate the hand to flex the joint, and it just reinforces the mechanics of how that technique is executed. With this in mind, now, I don't want this to be bent near my wrist. I want to get it out. I want to extend it, because the flexion of the elbow now suits that technique. And when you look at that from an application point of view, how does it change? The outer forearm comes from close and moves away. The inner forearm now starts away and moves in, comes in. So it's designed now to come completely across and in to the body. Whereas the outer forearm is designed to go from in, out and away. Inner forearm now is away, coming in. So the chambers now have a go at outer forearm, taking that hand further out, extending it. The pullback arm stays the same. That wants to stay in the same plane. But the inner forearm now wants to go out a bit further. And then the application of that technique coming across the body, okay, works in a different way than going away and into the body. So now I have a perfect reason why I have an outer forearm block that comes from the close, outwards, and an inner forearm block that comes from wide, inwards. Okay, the two planes of action are very, very different. Okay, and they will have a very different application against somebody that's grabbing and attacking you. So let's have a few goes at that. Stepping backwards again. Inner forearm block, but we're going to take this out, extend it, take it out, pull it across. Take it out, pull it across. In your own time, go. Take it out, pull it across. Take it out, extend it because you're flexing the elbow. Pull it across. Good. All right. So as I said, don't get bent out of shape about this being so. I know you've been taught hands close together from both sides, and why not? It's perfectly acceptable for us to do that because we're representing two different blocks. What I'm saying is, why have we got those two different blocks, and what can we do to make better use of them? So that's what I'm saying. Any outer forearm block is extending the elbow. So bring it in close to your body because it's designed to move away from you. Any inner forearm block, push it out a bit because it's designed to flex the elbow and move in. And it will just give you a better range of what those blocks can do in various different attacks. Good, okay. As we get on to the later session for the seniors, if you guys have got questions about this, if you're an instructor, if you're not sure, you want to go through it again, a bit later on when the junior grades are finished, we'll go.